From an economic standpoint, what will this mean to the city?
Oh, it can be of enormous benefit to us. The classes on campus each year will be in the hundreds, a sizable faculty, of course. The teaching hospital to be built ultimately there will require quite a staff. So this will have a tremendous impact upon our city and will balance it and diversify it even more. And of course, we're very proud and happy about that fact.
Dr. Luibel, when will the first class come to your campus?
Well, the first class will come to the campus in Arlington here that we're discussing today in September 1971.
Your first class will begin this year, is that correct?
We will actually begin the latter part of September or the 1st of October in Fort Worth in a temporary quarters in Fort Worth Osteopathic Hospital using their classrooms.
How large a school will this be?
Well, medical schools, you know, usually run approximately 100 to 150 students per class, and we ultimately hope to work up to the limit of between 550 and 600 students.
Well, it started with just sort of an informal group of us, this committee, who were discussing education in relationship to the problems of today, and decided that there are an awful lot of people today who have complaints about the rather formalized sources of education and seem to be just looking for a more personalized, direct, sort of an open forum.
Is this school supposed to be a school for 17-year-old, quote, hippie dropouts only?
We hope not. This is a program designed to bring in any of the young people of Dallas who are interested in the various subjects that we have outlined to begin with, and we hope they bring new subjects into the program. And they can come and discuss with us anything they want. We hope to bring in contact educated people from all walks of life in Dallas with the young people of Dallas, to talk to the young people about their own particular specialties.
In such a school, a teacher can flunk the course. If no one shows up the second time, the teacher hasn't fulfilled his obligation to keep the student interest. The students call the shots, the students make the school.
Though I may be a biologist, I'm billing myself as an ex-Peace Corps director, which I think may be of some interest to some of the kids that show up. What's the Peace Corps like? I happened to do my tour in Nigeria during the Biafran crisis, and I'm sure that some of the people will be interested in what went on actually. We'll be asking questions about that. So I'm not here as a biologist, really.
On what is the success of this venture going to depend, or on whom?
I think it's going to depend entirely on the rapport which the people who come out here can set up with the youngsters, what the youngsters want. It's their school. Well, things have changed a little bit since we were in Fink, Texas the other day. Today is National Fink Day, and there's quite a crowd running around in this store that we did not enjoy just a couple of days ago. But we're back again, and we're talking with Mayor Pat Albright of Fink, Texas, and her Deputy Mayor, Lucy Clement. Ms. Albright, what's the population of Fink today?
Well, 7, actually, but today it's booming.
Oh,
We've really got a crowd.
How many people have come through, would you say?
I'd say about 380.
And you're serving refreshments to all these people?
Yes, Coca-Colas and Dr. Pepper.
Hey, that's great. And you said 7. I noticed that on the sign it says 12.
Well, we had a family moved out.
And what are you going to do about that?
Well, we hope a bigger one moves in.
Ms. Clement, the tournament's just about over. Well, it will be over by the time the people at home get to see this, but any indication yet who's going to be the big golf winner?
No, sure don't, but we'll know before long because the Finks will start coming in, get their cold drinks, and sign the register.
Has anybody made any tabulation yet? How many Finks made it today?
I haven't heard, really.
What's this little
I won this 2 years ago.
Yeah, but it says high score on one hole.
Well, that's what it was.
How many strokes did you take?
I think about 15.
And they finished the tournament?
Yes. Got through. First game of golf I'd ever played.
Ms. Albright, Ms. Clement, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure visiting up here in this mob today. Everybody looks like today's going to be a banner day for the store, too.
Yeah, sure is.
Thank you very much. And it's National Fink Day, and there's a crowd coming and going. There's a lot of shopping and auditioning for television in the background.
Good morning, Mrs. Fink.
But all in all, it's been a good day. This is Jim Mitchell, Channel 8 News on the Move in Fink, Texas.
Why is it, in spite of all the great publicity the dangers of smoking have gotten and the fact that they're about to take, smoking commercials off television, that a recent national survey showed that Americans hadn't really, percentage-wise, cut down on smoking?
I think the adults have. I think they're getting the message. The younger generation want to be daring, and they are the ones that the advertising media have appealed to. It's the glamorous thing. It's the in thing to smoke. Now, there's a number of groups that are refuting that. In Bakersfield, California, they have a smoke-out campaign. And they have shown that smoking isn't glamorous. They show a glamorous woman smoking, and then they show the city dump and say it smokes too. So I think the fact that the media they've got a vested interest to make money off their products. And they're selling them and pitching their advertising probably at the younger people.
When the commercials finally go off television, do you feel that this will make an impact? Are you looking forward to that?
I'm certainly hoping it will. I think it will. But already in all of our, a lot of them, not all of them, a number of our journals, magazines do not accept advertising, but in a lot of them you're seeing 1- or 2-page ads already pushing in our newspapers or in our magazines. So I'm afraid they're going to use billboards and magazines and do everything they can to circumvent it.
I read somewhere once that the medical profession, many of the doctors, were some of the most difficult people to convince to stop smoking. And you're trying now to get all the fathers in Dallas to quit.
We think 100,000 doctors have stopped. It was only recently you couldn't see the screen in a smoke-filled room at a medical convention. Now you can see it pretty well because there's only an occasional doctor, I think, that smokes. There's no question the medical evidence is overwhelming that it's a very slow, insidious, destructive influence in the lungs, in the function of the lungs, and then the structural changes follow. And and a lot of these structural changes are reversible up to a point, not all of them, once it merges into emphysema. The big problem in America is chronic obstructive lung disease, and part of this is chronic bronchitis, the other part is emphysema. Well, it merges in. It's difficult to tell. So rather than just say, well, he's got emphysema or he's got chronic bronchitis, we say he has chronic obstructive lung disease or chronic airways obstruction. Now, a lot of times this degree of obstruction is reversible partially up to a point. But after years and years, say 30 years, 20 years, depending on the amount of smoke, these structural changes become more or less permanent. And then the emphysema in the air sacs, you add emphysema, is really a destruction of the lung substance. So that even though you breathe air in and out of your airways, there's no blood supply. You're breathing into empty spaces. Now the difficulty is that so many people have chronic obstructive airway disease, and maybe not destroyed lung, but it takes 2 or 3 times as long to empty that lung as it does to fill it. Now if they fill it just inhale, say, and exhale evenly, they only ventilate the trachea. They're breathing into a large reservoir of old air. So we have to retrain these people on what we call a new way of controlling expiration. We say breathe in slowly and breathe out twice or 3 times as long as you breathe in, not forcing, because when you force, you begin to self-obstruct, just like you do when you cough. And when people cough, they really are choking themselves when they've got chronic airways obstruction, because they increase the degree of obstruction.
Well, should a person, suppose somebody who has smoked since they were 20 and they're now 50,
right,
will it do them any good then to stop smoking? What do they gain?
The main thing they gain is that the bronchitis, that means the swelling and the secretions that block these airways, begins to subside, and they quit coughing. See, so they've stopped the functional aspect of choking themselves, and they've let these airways become unobstructed because the secretions are not formed. It's like scratching a sore place on your skin. The more you scratch it, the more it gets sore and swollen and weak. The more you cough, the more irritated your throat is, so the more secretions you have. So when they quit smoking, they quit coughing. 90% of them do very quickly. Now, this is assuming they don't have any other, maybe if they're in an air-polluted environment, they're going to keep coughing. Or if they forget to breathe through their nose, and because they've breathed through the mouth for years, continue to breathe through the mouth and breathe polluted air, they begin to cough because they're still subjecting their
Well, some people
airways.
would argue, I've been smoking so long anyway, maybe the kids shouldn't start to smoke, but that's just for me.
This is a point that really needs to be emphasized. Everyone who stops smoking begins very quickly. The repair processes in the lung are going on day and night. The bronchial trachea, the lining of the bronchial tree and the windpipe, the old lining sloughs off, you grow a new lining. All these squamous cells are flattened cells. They get off, are sloughed off, and then you grow a new lining of columnar cells again. And Dr. Auerbach has shown that within 5 years, most of these bronchial changes are reversible.
Who's harder to convince to stop smoking, men or women?